that came through here. Many people lost their cars. Some cars were tossed across the street, flipped over. Others had their windows smashed in. And of course, dozens and dozens of people don't have homes tonight. They have nowhere to stay, and that's why an emergency shelter has been set up here in Hayesville. If you have nowhere to stay tonight here in Hayesville, show up at the Hayesville Christian Church. That is where the emergency shelter is at Grand and Meridian. You can stay there tonight and have a nice warm place to sleep and grab a blanket. Otherwise, people are trying to make do, patching a few things here in their homes and trying to make do with what they have here. Also, power is still out, electricity is out, the phone service is out in Hayesville, but everyone says they are just lucky because they did not suffer any deaths or any severe injuries here tonight. They're considering themselves very lucky. One last thing, the police here are telling us to ask you folks to stay at home tonight. There are still live power lines down all over the place. It is very dangerous. They are trying to get those repaired just as soon as possible, so play it safe and stay at home this evening.
That's very good advice, Megan. Thank you very much. And all evening, the law enforcement agencies have been plagued by people who have been out gawking and wanting to see where the damage was. Now is not the time to do it. We need to let the emergency crews do their situations so that life can get back to normal. Obviously, there's a lot of getting back to normal to do. Most
definitely. If you are staying up with us tonight, late, like it's 10:45, we want to share as much video with you as possible. So let's go back to McConnell Air Force Base. Take a look at some of the funnel clouds shot earlier tonight. What you're looking at here between Pawnee and Webb, funnel clouds near McConnell Air Force Base. A little bit earlier, we showed you what tornado damage existed there, and there was a few injuries at McConnell Air Force Base. No fatalities reported there. McConnell officials say there was no damage to aircraft, and they do say, though, if you live on the base and you need a place to stay tonight, we want to remind you that you should report to the Base Youth Center. That's the Base Youth Center in McConnell. Yes, that is incredible. You can hear the voice taking a look at the video there. Now we're looking at a funnel cloud near Pawnee and Webb. Look how incredibly close these are to the homes in that area. You can just imagine how the residents in those homes reacted to this. Funnel cloud pictures taken earlier this evening. Obviously, it's not very dark yet. It's been a very long day, very long evening for a lot of people tonight.
Now, these funnel clouds are between Rose Hill and Andover, as you can read on your screen there. Funnel clouds were reported all throughout the evening hours, starting a little bit after 6 o'clock, and people just came out of the woodwork with video cameras. And we need to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a dangerous thing when this happens. Now, not all of the funnels that we saw did serious damage. There were funnels down near Argonia, Kansas. These particular pictures were taken. They were out in a field, and they didn't hit the town. There was no damage. There was no injuries that we know of down there. It was just another funnel cloud out in the country. That's the way we like to have them out there, is not doing any damage out in the country. They are an awesome piece of what Kansas can produce, and obviously, as we found out tonight, they are very dangerous. And taking pictures of these is ladies and gentlemen, it's a dangerous thing to do. People need to be in the basement. It's nice to see the pictures, but you need to think of yourself first, and you need to think of your family when taking these pictures.
We don't even like to see them in rural areas. No. I know I don't.
Yeah, they're tough to watch.
Fortunately, after such a rough day and evening, Jim is telling us a very small part of our viewing area is still experiencing some storms.
Right, those storms are in Labette and Montgomery County, and as of just about 30 seconds ago, the severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings have expired for even those counties, and the radar still shows we have some strong thunderstorms stretching through the area, but not the intense kind that we were looking at earlier. You see that region of thunderstorm activity off to the east that produced the tornadoes. That has now expired for that section. The other line extending from just southeast of Emporia southward is more or less composed of a line of thunderstorms and not the intense individual thunderstorms that we had earlier. And the big blob that you're seeing through the central regions up to just south of Salina, that's anomalous propagation and ground clutter. And thank goodness for that. We don't need any more activity. We are going to look for the clearing trend to continue over the weekend, and temperatures should come up to the high 60s and 70s over our area.
So actually not a bad weekend then after this.
Not a bad weekend after a terrible Friday.
It's going to be a tough weekend, though, for a lot of people who are going to be cleaning up. And we have some Some extraordinary aerial footage now that actually follows the path that the tornado took. Let's take a look at it here. This was taken by Rex Corbin.
Rex Corbin took this video from the sky. This is the first video we've seen from the sky tonight. And he follows this as it moves across the terrain here. Take a look at some of the damage that he's already captured by video. In a few seconds, about 30, 45 seconds into this video, you're going to see it just rip up a field.
Now we should point out that it's shaky because obviously the air, when you're in a light plane, is very unstable up there, and it's very difficult for when you're taking aerial shots to keep that camera steady. And so that's why it's shaky. But you can see some of the devastation there on the ground. You can see the houses destroyed. These were very large tornadoes. It will be very interesting to go back as scientists look at these tornadoes to see just how big they were and how they compared with other tornadoes that we've had in this area, like the Heston tornado, for example.
I can't imagine why Rex Corbin was up in a plane getting that video, but Rex, we're glad you're on the ground now and safe, and we appreciate the video you brought in. We appreciate all the video brought in tonight. We'll have more when we come back.
Anytime you have a tragedy like this occurring over the central Kansas area, or really anywhere in Kansas, you see moments where people really come together to help. We had something happen just a few moments ago. A lady walked into the studio and she gave a $200 check to the Red Cross for help of the victim. Just walked into the studio, gave us the check, handed it to us. Very, very nice people. We appreciate that. That's very kind of people. That's Kansas, though. That's the way it works.
She drove from Cheney.
Cheney, yes, all the way.
Cheney. She saw the pictures on the television. She saw the people who needed help, and she got in her car and she brought that check.
She had been watching KAKE all evening.
Yes. A couple of other people who want to help. Dennis Cancello has a crane truck, he says, if anyone needs help. He's in Wichita. His number, 685-4291. 685-4291. The name again, Dennis. He has a crane truck if you need that. Also, insurance professionals, 227-IDA. They open at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Insurance professionals wanted us to pass along 227-IDA. They will be open at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And there is another gentleman, James Pryor, has a mobile crane unit that's available to anyone who needs it. He also has some cutting torches and welding equipment for anyone who might need the help. If you have a pencil, you might want to make note of it. It's 943-1900. Again, that number is 943-1900. He has a 24-hour telephone answering service. I'm sure that's going to come in handy for a lot of people.
And if we can, maybe we could take a look at those shelters again. The Red Cross has set up several shelters in the area. Beach Elementary, 1830 South Cypress, as well as the Hayesville. There's the Beach Elementary address, 1830 South Cypress. That is the Salvation Army shelter. We've got a number of them. The Red Cross shelter in Hayesville, Hayesville Christian Church, a lot of damage there. 1306 West Grand, that's Grand and Meridian in Hayesville.
And we have Jim O'Donnell standing by in the Storm Center with a little update. Jim, what's happening?
Well, Larry, thank goodness, as of this moment, all of the severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings have expired. And the radar shows that we still have some fairly strong thunderstorms over the area, but they're nothing in comparison to the storms we had a little bit earlier on. Those thunderstorms stretch across eastern Kansas from north of Chanute down through just west of Independence, and from there to southeast of Ponca City, and then some lighter shower and thunderstorm activity drifting through the eastern sections of south central Kansas. And we are taking a look at our computer. We see that there's a wide area of thunderstorms and rain showers that pretty much covered the region over the eastern part of the state. So all that's left now in the central and western parts of Kansas seems to be that relatively light shower activity off to the west. But we do have a tornado watch which continues until 2 o'clock in the morning. But the only area that really is seriously under this right now is the extreme eastern portions, or the first two counties along the Missouri-Kansas line from just about the Kansas City area southward, and then of course portions of Oklahoma also under severe thunderstorm and tornado watch. But those thunderstorms are moving out of the area, and as we said, the good news is, as of this moment, no more severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings in effect in Kansas or in northern portions of Oklahoma.
That's good news.
That is great news to have those things moving out of the area.
It really is.
I'm glad to hear that. We're going to be right back in just a moment with some more information.
When reports of the tornado damage began coming in today, this evening, volunteers of the Red Cross jumped to action like they always do. Sandwiches were quickly prepared for shipment to the Hayesville area, very hard hit, and arrangements for shelters were made. But still, with all of the professionals doing their jobs, there's still something you can do.
I guess, you know, usually this time we have our group of volunteers that we have and staff that come to our aid in times like this. A specific request to the public we don't have at this point, except when there are neighbors in the area that have need, then we hope that they're going to them individually and providing whatever assistance they can to that individual family. We find that in the long run that probably means more to individual families than anything else, and that's being helped by someone you know.
You know that's taking place in Kansas. Red Cross and other volunteer organizations will continue being a vital part of the disaster recovery.
And there may be some people out there who tuned in a little bit late. We want to tell you about the Homecoming in the Heartland Parade. That was a big parade. It was scheduled for tomorrow. Well, the Homecoming in the Heartland Parade has been canceled. I think for obvious reasons. You understand why. And Mayor Bob Knight made that announcement tonight while in our studios.
It just wouldn't be right to have it tomorrow now, so we'll reconsider that later and spend our energy and our efforts on trying to assist those that need our help.
And the mayor says that parade will be scheduled at a later date, and of course we'll keep you posted. And there were going to be about 3,000 people actually involved in the parade, so it was going to be a big thing. But the important thing now is to concentrate on helping the people who have lost homes, who have lost loved ones. That's going to be the thing that we have to concentrate on now. That's where our energy needs to go. Unfortunately,
many loved ones lost in Andover. At the latest count, 22 people died in that part of Kansas. You're taking a look at pictures of damage in Andover. It's becoming apparent as the evening goes on, the greatest loss of life was in this town. Law enforcement officials there have estimated 22 people are dead and an untold number are injured. Randy Wentling shot some of this home video for us just after the twister touched down there.
It's always tragic to see pictures like this because we know what these people are going through, and Randy Wentling, obviously an amateur photographer who walks in and he says he sees people in a daze, and I've covered stories like this often, and people don't know what to do. We tend to think sometimes it always happens to someone else. We see these pictures on televisions, and of course it happens to someone else, and then when it happens to us, we really don't know how to react. I've found that a lot of people just want to talk, people who have lost their homes, people who've had loved ones injured. They want their friends around them, and they just simply want to talk because they have to get that off their chest because their lives have been terribly harmed at that point.
The picture is very devastating in themselves. You say you've covered tornadoes like this. Remember the Stillwater tornado last summer? I was there for that one. Until you see it in person, it is incredible to see what some of these people are having to go through, especially with cleanup beginning tomorrow. With all the emergencies being handled tonight, the people in charge of keeping it all together have been very busy.
That's right. Here's a glimpse inside the disaster management headquarters at the Sedgwick County building.
Well, we're just now beginning a house-to-house search. All weather is canceled.
Send a guy and pick them up. All right. Send them to Pawnee and Crest. That's where they're supposed to be going. Recharge battery. A Crest unit, whatever a Crest unit is. That is something called.
Okay, I'm not sure that we'll be able to use that, and right now we're trying to assess how many volunteers we're going to need. Why don't you let me have your last name and phone number, and then if we can use you, we'll get a hold of you.
And we know that as the disaster management teams for the city of Wichita and for the county were all being put into effect, and it's probably still the case, all of the available emergency equipment within Sedgwick County was out on the street being used to help find victims. That doesn't happen very often here in the city of Wichita.
Gives you an idea how mass the problem was. I talked with a Red Cross official tonight. She's been with the Red Cross for many, many years, and she said she's never seen so much damage suffered in Sedgwick County, and she couldn't count how many years.
That's right, and people, when we're in the newsroom, people don't realize how the news just starts to come in a piece at a time, and I know people are used to turning on the news and seeing a complete newscast where you have all of the pieces of information all put together. It doesn't work that way in the real newsroom, especially when you have a disaster of this magnitude going on, because the pieces of information come in through a telephone call, then through a reporter on the scene, then another reporter on the scene, And we just keep building those bits of information as the evening goes on and as the evening progresses, and we keep adding on to them and going on the air and filling you in with what we know. And it's tough to get all that information, and to have the disaster management people out there on the street all working to help us. It's been quite an evening.
We're going to take a break. Hope you'll stay with us. More to come. We'll be right back. Every reporter, photographer available here at KAKE-TV. We have been all across the area, so many crews out, and what we're finding in all of the cities we have been in today and this evening. Andover, the hardest hit, 22 people so far reported dead in that town.
That's right, and there are so many questions yet to be answered in the Andover area. KAKE's Brenda Stewart is standing by, and she's coming to us via satellite from Andover, Kansas. Brenda, what's it like over there right now? Do you have any late information as to where these fatalities may have come from there in Andover?
Well, Larry, as you said, there are 22 confirmed dead. That number is sure to climb as officials continue to go through the rubble here. Now, we've got some unedited video here. Now, this is of the Golden Spur Mobile Home Park. There were between 400 and 500 mobile homes in this complex, and right now there are only 4 left standing. Right now, officials say at least 400 homes here have been destroyed, 100 homes elsewhere in addition to these mobile homes have been destroyed. But this mobile home park is southeast of 13th, and as you know, Andover's about 20 miles away from Wichita. Right now, officials are having a lot of problems with the traffic coming in and out of Andover, a lot of sightseers getting in the way. Officials have cordoned off many of the intersections you see here. If you are coming in just to see if family's okay, you will not get beyond Webb and Kellogg or Webb and Central. They are turning as many people away as possible. Larry, Tammy, it is so bad right now that ambulances are having problems getting in and out of the area. And you know, there are 22 confirmed dead, but there are hundreds more injured right now, and officials are asking for everyone's help to keep the area clear so they can come in and get those critically injured to hospitals as soon as possible.
Are there a lot that are still have not been taken to the hospital?
Right now, the last count we had was more than 100 people with critical injuries who cannot get out and get into Wichita to get to any of the medical centers there.
And the reason they can't get to the medical centers is because the roads are clogged, or what?
It is right now, it's just clogged roads. Sightseers mainly getting in the way. Police say they're a little worried about looters, but right now, sightseers are the ones who, people are coming in to see if maybe they can help, are actually more of a hindrance right now.
Well, I'm sure that's the case out there. Were all of the deaths and all of the injuries from right at this mobile home park, or were there others that you know about? And I know it's difficult to sift through all the information there. Were there others in other parts of Andover where some of the injuries came from?
Right now, we're not sure. We're just getting a compilation of numbers. And like I say, that 22 is just a rough figure. Officials are sure that the numbers are going to climb. They haven't gone into the residence right now. Now, they do have volunteer search crews coming in, going through a lot of the rubble of other homes away from that trailer park, trying to see if there were any other fatalities.
Brenda, any word at all, and again, I know it's very early, but any word of shelter set up actually there in Andover?
There is a Red Cross Command Center right now set up at 417 West Central in Andover. There are a couple others. We haven't been able to find out where they are, but right now they're asking people who need help to go to 417 West Central. The Red Cross is trying to do what they can right there.
All right, thank you, Brenda Stewart, reporting from Andover tonight, where 22 deaths so far have been reported. Trailer home park, 400 to 500 homes, 4 left. Unfortunately, I'm sure the news will get much, much worse as the sun comes up tomorrow morning and we actually see how much damage has been caused there and many other parts of Kansas. And
we should point out for the folks in Andover, we do have the report of another shelter that is available over there. That's at the Hope Community Church. It's at 550 North Andover Road. Once again, 550 North Andover Road. It is another shelter that is available. The number to call is 733-9131, and we certainly hope the people who are over there are just sightseeing, can get off the roads, so they can get those people to the hospital. This makes me mad thinking about that.
Unfortunately, the fatalities, the injuries, the damage, a story that is just beginning to unfold. Be sure and join the KAKE Weekend crew for complete updates Saturday, Sunday, on this very devastating story. And we'd like to thank all of the people in Wichita who helped us tonight gather the reports, all the people who brought in videotapes, all the people who came out to the station, all of our
wonderful staff members who gave up their time this evening to come back to help bring this story to you. It has been a devastating evening for a lot of people, but it's information we need to know so we can help those people.
Have a safe and good night.
Thank you.